What do you like about Joe Biden?
That he's not Trump.
This is the voice of many Biden supporters. And right now, Biden may be done. First of all, shout out to all our new fans in America. You guys are nearly 10% of our fan base, yo. And if you like our videos, feel free to share them with your friends stateside. Fun fact, when Biden took office 3 years ago, support for him was at nearly 60%. But now it's at less than 40%, yo. From crisis management to his age to corruption, I'm gonna show you the 4 biggest mistakes where it all went wrong, and how Joe Biden's presidency might not even last through the winter. Ukraine, one of the first major crises to test Biden's presidency. When Russia made moves against Ukraine, 66% of Americans supported Biden in his involvement to back the U.S. ally, which saw Biden approving nearly $80 billion in aid over the course of 1 year. And in that same amount of time, American support for the war dropped over 10%, with 41% of Americans saying that we gave too much. Here's what several of them had to say in a focus group.
I just think that America needs to be a little bit more concerned about America.
My heart goes out to Ukraine or any country that's being maybe under the thumb of a larger force, but I think we need to take care of America first.
And when it came to the spending part, they unilaterally agreed.
Too high. I'm not convinced it's being used effectively.
Too high. I don't think we can afford it.
Too high, unnecessary.
Much too high, and I'm not sure there's enough accountability for it.
Exactly too high, and I think some of the money is going places we wouldn't want to see it go.
Too high, and I don't believe it should be always us paying for everything.
It's too high. I think there's a lot of scamming going on with the money, and look how they forgot about Maui.
We're gonna get to Maui in a bit, but it's interesting what he said about scamming. Because just a few weeks ago, a top Ukrainian presidential advisor told Time magazine,
"People are stealing like there's no tomorrow."
Even the firing of defense minister did not make officials feel any fear, he adds, because the purge took too long to materialize. The president was warned in February that corruption had grown rife inside the ministry, but he dithered for more than 6 months, giving his allies multiple chances to deal with the problems quietly or explain them away.
Not only that, but it turns out the Biden administration knew all about it.
We have now reports that the Biden administration held off for over a year on raising corruption to the Ukrainian government. We knew it was real. We decided not to raise it. And what's shocking to me is that inside the regime itself, they are completely fine with it. And not only fine, they are openly stealing everything that is not nailed down to the floor.
Let's be real. There are a lot of conspiracy theories floating around that Hunter and Joe Biden were involved in some corruption when it comes to Ukraine. And this does not do much to quell those rumors. So on the European war front, Biden's support is slipping fast. And you remember what that guy said about Maui? Well, back in August, when Maui was set ablaze, resulting in nearly $6 billion in damages and many deletions, Joe Biden was in the hot seat once again. Let me tell you something. Everyone in America knows that whenever there is a natural disaster, the president has to be on site ASAP. Even if he can't physically do anything, the American people need to know that he cares. Bush learned that the hard way with Hurricane Katrina. And when Louisiana got hit again under the Obama presidency, my man was there within 1 week, and he still caught flack for it. Now, you would think someone who's much more seasoned and experienced, like Joe Biden, would be there as soon as possible. But it took this man 13 days to visit Maui, yo. And that was only after tons of backlash and criticism. And when he finally arrived, the Maui residents were not too kind.
In Maui yesterday, the president and first lady were met with some anger by some residents who say the current administration is abandoning the victims of the island's deadly wildfires. Protesters posted up across from the airport shouting expletives at Biden's motorcade shortly after his arrival, and another resident on the island displayed a sign on their lawn saying, quote, "Trader Joe must go."
And it didn't make it any better that he seemed to be dozing off during heart-wrenching speeches from the Hawaiian people or telling weird stories that almost seemed to be made up.
I don't want to compare difficulties, but we have a little sense, Jill and I, what it's like to lose a home. Years ago, now 15 years ago, I was in Washington doing Meet the Press. It was a sunny Sunday. And lightning struck at home on a little lake that's outside of our home, not a lake, a big pond, and hit the wire and came up underneath our home into the heating ducts, the air conditioning duct. To make a long story short, I almost lost my wife my 67 Corvette and my cat. And we were insured. We did not have any problem. But being out of our home for a better part of a year was difficult. I can only imagine what it's like to lose your home.
So we're 2 disasters in, but this next one takes the cake, as nearly every American has felt the weight. Immigration. Since Biden took office, nearly 8 million immigrants have illegally entered America. And check this, in just September alone, Border Patrol agents caught 140,000 immigrants illegally crossing the border. Now that's a 60% increase from July. Couple that with a common perception that an increase in immigration leads to an increase in crime, no thanks to Ling Yuan Go, the increase of ISIS terrorists smuggling through the border, the influx of fentanyl from China via Mexico, and the giant uptick of cartel-related violence, and now you have 41% of the country that is fed up and even supporting military action in Mexico.
And Republicans have become increasingly vocal in their support of U.S. military action against drug cartels in Mexico. And The Hill points out some of that rhetoric is, quote, rattling people on both sides of the border who worry talk of an attack is getting normalized.
So let's recap. Americans feel Biden cares more about Ukrainians than its own people. He's too welcoming to immigrants, and my man is too damn old.
He's too old. He should go sit down somewhere. I think at this point, you're kind of out of touch. People getting my age, we're thinking about, sitting down, playing with our grandkids. There's some things that need to happen that you don't have the ability to do. Let some of these young, bright stars that we see day after day in Congress do what they do.
He can run again, but why? When you get to a certain age, you get dementia, you can get Alzheimer's, just things that's out there can affect you making your decisions. And do you really want somebody in office where sometimes they don't believe that they have those problems? And you might not even see that they have those problems until they have a debate and he can't catch his words or he can't remember. I just feel like they look at that as a sign of weakness. Maybe it's time for him to step down.
This goes much farther than just a focus group, yo. Check it. Out of all the grievances we've mentioned so far, Biden's age is the one issue where 75% of the entire country, Republican and Democrat, completely agree on. He is too old to run, dog. So with his age, his seeming inability to control the border, and his perceived overgenerosity to Ukraine, America's confidence in Biden is slowly dying. And then October 7th happened, an event that surprisingly split the Western world in two, pro-Palestine versus pro-Israel, with protests in the streets turning violent, a 400% increase in anti-Muslim and anti-Semitic violence. By the way, we did a video examining this, but YouTube censored it. You can check it out in the Hoyer down below. And America is becoming even more split than before. This is what Biden's America looks like now. But the one group, above all, that Biden must appease is the one group that hates him the most. The Democrats. Since the start of the Israeli-Palestine conflict, Biden's disapproval rating is over 50%, and many of them are Democrats who are pissed. Just last week, 300,000 people took to the streets of Washington, D.C., right down the street from the White House, to protest the Israeli-Palestine war, and in turn, also protest Joe Biden.
My first cousin's son with his family were bombed in their own house and they were killed. Now tell me, how am I going to look my cousin in the eye and give her my condolences when she knows and I know that her son and his family were with my tax dollar, with my money? And how can I sleep at night?
What do you think of Joe Biden's handling of this so far?
I think this is a lot. He has a lot to do with this because he has such a strong attachment to Israel that he has no way to back out now. He is now fully involved with this side. Thousands of civilians. The blood is on his hands now.
I support him because I don't want Trump. But I'm very bothered that he isn't calling for a ceasefire.
Are you going to withhold your vote from Joe Biden?
Yes, I am. I'm not sure how I'm voting for, but it will be Joe Biden.
Gotcha.
Yes.
I'm very, very disappointed. I voted for him in the last election because I felt he was the lesser of two evils, and he's just proven that he is the most evil. 100% going to vote for somebody else. I'm looking for an independent party that supports the liberation of Palestine.
Who's Joe Biden? He's not handling anything at the end of the day. He's just a puppet. That's what we feel like. He's talking about, I don't believe in the numbers of how many Palestinians died. And it's all just to distract everybody from what's happening, man.
So as you can see, the Democrats so-called Biden. And this is not what you want 1 year before an election, dog. But it's about to get worse. David Axelrod, the chief strategist for Obama's campaign, the man who's credited with putting Obama in office, and possibly even Joe Biden, Biden's buddy, called him out on Twitter.
The President of the United States is justly proud of his accomplishments. Trump is a dangerous, unhinged demagogue whose brazen disdain for the values, norms, laws, and institutions or democracy should be disqualified. But the stakes of miscalculation here are too dramatic to ignore. Only Joe Biden can make this decision. If he continues to run, he will be the nominee of the Democratic Party. What he needs to decide is whether that is wise, whether it's in his best interest or the country's.
Damn, you know things are going bad when your own friends, your own team is telling you it might be time to sit down, yo. But why would they do this? Why would they suddenly turn on him? Well, it might have something to do with what just happened last week.
They did polling of swing states. And in 5 of those 6 swing states, Trump is winning. In Nevada, Trump 52, Biden 41. In Michigan, Trump 48, Biden 43. In Georgia, Trump is up by 6, 49 to 43. In Pennsylvania, Trump is up by 4, 48-44. In Arizona, Trump is up by 5, 49-44. And in Wisconsin, this is the one state where Biden's hanging on by his fingertips. He's winning 47-45. Last time around, Biden won every single one of these states.
God damn, my man lost 5 swing states. And let me tell you something about swing states. They are extremely important for presidential races because they are unpredictable, which is why they're called swing states. Every presidential candidate knows that if you're gonna win an election, you must get the swing states. So now, Biden's future for a second term looks very bleak. And there's already been some rumblings in the Democratic Party to find a new frontrunner. One of them happens to be a guy who's not only making good friends with Xi Jinping, but apparently is to blame for the rapid fall of his state of California, and possibly even the state's desire to secede from the United States of America. We'll be covering that on another episode soon, so all our California fans, stay tuned for that. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you on the flip side. Peace!